Hi everyone, welcome to the Reclaimed Ranch. My name is Tara and thank you for joining me today. All right, so today we're going to be working on this wooden round table. Got it from a friend, and my son and his wife just asked if I had a round table in my stash, and I said absolutely do. So I'm going to be remaking this over for them. They want like a light top with a black base. So first things first, we're gonna go ahead and clean this up and sand down the finish and give it a new paint job. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with my TSP from Fusion and really give it a good cleaning because this has been sitting in my garage for quite some months now. And so it's got a lot of dirt and grime and dust all over it. So I wanna make sure that that paint's gonna adhere really well to all the places. And so we're going to clean it up, and then I'm using a 120 grit sandpaper. Now this isn't a solid base top. I found out that it has a veneer wood overlay on it, so I don't want to kind of go through that. I want to be real careful when I'm sanding to make sure not to go all the way through that veneer. And so I'm using a 120, and then I go up to a 180 grit. And then to paint the base, I did just kind of scuff sand the base with the 120. And I'm going to be using my Fusion's Coal Black, and I'm straining it into my sprayer, and I'm going to add some water to it. And that's going to help get a nice flow coming out of the spray gun. So you can use it in the spray gun, but Fusion recommends not to, just because it kind of changes the quality a little bit, but I think it's still going to be fine since it's just the base. So I'm just going to go in with my Wagner paint sprayer, which is amazing. I love this thing. It keeps me from having to work a lot harder. So I'm working smarter, not harder. Makes this job so quick. I literally did this like in under 3 minutes. So just going to go in with my first coat, let it dry for about a half an hour, and then I did my second coat. Then I flipped the table over and did my 2 coats on the parts that I missed on the very, very bottom. And while that was completely drying, I went ahead and after I sanded, I stopped at the 180 grit because I want to make sure that that grain is not closed. If I go up to 220, it's going to close the grain, and then it won't accept my stain that I'm making. So I'm using Fusion's Algonquin and water. You just kind of have to test it out for your own preference on color. Of course, the more Fusion paint you have, the darker it's going to be, or the more opaque it's going to be. And I was just going for just a nice light wash because the wood color on this table was actually fairly nice. It wasn't too orange or yellow. So this is going to tone down those colors as well, and just give it a really nice, kind of like a Pottery Barn feel for them. She gave me some inspiration photos, and this is kind of what it was looking like. So I'm going to go in with 2 coats of this stain that I made and let that dry really well, at least for 24, maybe 48 hours. And then I'm going to go in with a top coat. I'm going to be using, I believe I'm going to be using Fusion's matte top coat, and I will be doing at least 3 coats of that for the top of the table. You want a really good top coat if it's in high traffic areas. So dining table is definitely one of those. So you want to make sure to seal those really, really good. And then after this stain dried really well, I went in with it's called a sanding net at 400 grit, and just took the little raised pieces that were up from it being wet and smoothed those out really well. Made sure that there wasn't any snags anywhere, just to give it a nice smooth surface before putting on the top coat. And that's basically it. I got this done. I haven't done the top coats yet, but I got this done, just in a few hours time. And so it's definitely doable. And I really love doing projects for the kids. It just makes me feel like I'm useful and, being able to help them do DIY projects that they may not normally have had and save a lot of money instead of going out and buying a dining set. Of course, I had this one just hanging out, waiting to be done. So this was a perfect opportunity to get that done. So this next project, when I was on a live Monday Night Live with Sonnet, I got done with my project a little early. So I went ahead and I started painting this little stovetop espresso piece, and I used the color Blue Pine in Fusion. It's a really pretty blue-gray undertone. And then I used IOD's Floral Anthology to put some transfers on, and I think this piece turned out super, super cute. So I just kind of took my time because obviously this is pretty difficult to maneuver around all these edges and the roundness and going down in the dips. And so you just really got to take your time and kind of just go a little bit at a time and work your way from the bottom up to the top. And that way you can kind of just follow along with the pattern. And of course, there was a couple times where it broke in a place or two. And so you just take that piece and again, adhere it right where you want it to go, and then just continue on using your little tool. Sometimes I use, when it's a really small piece like this on the bottom, I use my fingernail. Seems to go quick and easy. And then you want to burnish it down with either your paper or your finger. And then you'll definitely want to seal this. And I used Fusion's matte. I'm just in love with that matte sealer. I use glossy every now and then, but I think I don't know what it is about matte finishes, but I just like it a little bit better than the glossy. It's a personal preference. And so I'm going to continue around. I'm just going to put a couple florals around the base, and then I thought I'd put this little pretty pink rose up, or dahlia, I don't remember what it is, up on the very top. And then that's good to go. I think it's going to be super cute. I'm going to go ahead and put it on my website. Right now I'm visiting family over near Seattle, but I'm going to put it on my website, and it would be cute to open the top and have some greenery or something flowing down out of it. I think it would be fun to do. So another easy little decor piece that would look good in pretty much any room. Obviously this is a kitchen piece, but I think it would look cute in a living room or even an extra bedroom, even a bathroom. I think it would just go cute anywhere with some old books and fun greenery. So project 3 is a piece I found at the Goodwill bins. It was an old candlestick, and then somebody already put a pie plate on top, which is something I would totally do. But the paint job was pretty poor. But look, guys, I got my alchemy, and I am so excited for this line from Fusion. So it's a blend of acrylic, limestone, and chalk. And you get that really smooth, chalky finish with a little bit more durability than your normal chalk lines. So I'm going in with this color Spruce, which is pretty close to that blue pine. It has a little bit more hint of green to it as well, but it's a very beautiful neutral color. And I, of course, love my chalk paints because they distress back with wet distressing so easily. And I just think that wet distressing is so much more natural looking than taking a sandpaper to it. Because a lot of times those sandpapers can get down to the bones and nitty gritty of like the wood and stuff. And sometimes I don't want to go that far. So I love this. And of course, being a chalk limestone based paint, you do have to seal it after you're done. So I'm going in with my good old matte finish infusion. But look at that, guys. So because it already had the white base, I was like, this is perfect. I'm just going to paint a couple coats of that spruce on there. I'm going to wet distress it back a little bit. And then I'm like, what are we going to do on top? So it was Rustin. And so I'm going to go ahead with the DIY Salvation Solution. I did do 2 coats of this, and it's already white based. So that was perfect for me. Because what I thought I was going to do is just go in and paint this white, and then we're going to take that spruce color and we're going to use an IOD stamp and stamp a flower in there. So I'm going to be using the picket fence for my last white coat, and then we'll go ahead and stamp. So I chose the chrysanthemums stamp from IOD. It has these gorgeous outlines of these chrysanthemum flowers, and they're big and bold and beautiful. And what I'm going to do is I have that little plate next to me. I'm going to put a little bit of my spruce chalk paint in there. Here's that. Look at how gorgeous this is. And it takes up the entire plate in the middle. I was like, that's perfect. So we're going to put a little bit of my alchemy paint on there. That was way too much, honestly. You don't need much at all. And then you take your brayer and you load it up with paint, and then you roll it onto your stamp and place your stamp down like you normally would. So I always hold it with one hand and then work my way around with my fingers to make sure we have it all down. And look at that. Isn't that so pretty? So after that dried, I thought it was just a little too stark white still. So I'm going to put that mask on there, and I'm going to add some water. And Connie taught me this from the painted photographer. She does these little specks on her artwork all the time, and it's so cool. So you just get it wet with water, you put it on one, and then you use another paintbrush to bounce it up and down and create those little specks. So I ran out of my matte fusion, and so I'm using the polyacrylic from Minwax. It's still a matte finish, but same thing. You can use whatever kind of finish you want on your products. Just make sure to do that so that they seal really well. And this last one, look at how cute these are. These little teapot cups from Barbara Mock. They're just little prints. And it looks like they were sold for like $23 originally. So there was a set of 3. I thought it was perfect. I wasn't real happy with the matting because it was from 1994, and you could definitely tell with those colors. I did like the muted color of the green though. So I took the red maroon color out. I'm kind of thinking to myself, well, you can still see a little bit of the whites on the sides of the print. But what I decided to do is it was a gold rimmed teacup and saucer. And so I have a gold pen that I'm going to use to kind of tie that in. So I'm going in with my 91% rubbing alcohol, cleaning the glass really well because those were really dirty. Oh, you never know where these have been. So this is kind of like a trial and error. I didn't really know where I was going to go with this at this point. And so I'm going to take the stickers off, put this back in, flip it over and take a peek at it and see. I'm like, well, see, you could still see, I'm pondering. I'm like, okay, nope, we got to fix that. So out it goes. And here is my gold pen. I got this at Walmart. It's just a gold paint pen, or a gold leafing pen, I believe. And so I'm going in and I'm covering up the white on the print itself along with that edged cut on the matting. And I'm like, that looks okay. But then I got crazy and I actually decided to do one strip around the green completely where the print is. And I didn't do it perfect. I did not want it perfect lines. I did not want it completely filled in. I wanted it to kind of look old and distressed. So I did it, and I thought to myself, okay, so this could look really cool, or this could look like a 5-year-old did it. So I don't know. You guys let me know. Because I'm like, if I'm going to sell these, I want them to look good. So this is what I'm talking about. I'm just taking this pen, and it kind of like, it runs out of ink, or paint. And then it just kind of drags a little bit and does the high points, which is like a distressing, it could be cool. So I haven't decided yet. I don't know. I'm going to wait till you guys give me some comments and see what you think. And if that's the case, I'll just get a new matting and we'll just start from scratch. So let me know in the comments what you think when you see the final product of this. But, sometimes you got to get out of your comfort zone and try something different, right? So because the frames were already gold, they were not really the gold that I would like. So I'm going to go in with some DIY dark wax. I mean, they are kind of a vintage gold, but I wanted it just to tone down a little bit. And this was exactly what I was looking for. It didn't take away from the color, yet it toned it down enough to where you can then focus on the actual print instead of the frame. But the frame itself is really, really pretty. And my eye was actually drawn to the frame first when I bought them. So I didn't want to steer away too much from that, but it definitely needed to be toned down. I know some of you might have, you could totally skip this step if you really like that really gold color. But I'm more of a muted vintage dirty, rusty, crusty girl. So, so I think this turned out perfect. And so we're going to end up having these on my website for sale. Once I get home, I'm going to go ahead and put them up there. And so if you're interested, definitely go check that out. But here is the final look. And I really think my son and his wife are going to enjoy this table for years to come, which is super cool. And let me know what you think, if you would have done a paint job similar to this, or would you have tried to restore it to that natural kind of oak, honey oak color. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I will see you next Monday with some more thrift flips. Take care, guys. Bye.